G'day guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video we're going to be taking a look at every AFL home Guernsey for each team from the 2011 season versus the 2021 season. Now I wanted to switch up the content a little bit now that the off season is coming into play. I want to start doing a few different videos, like some cricket content. AFL content will still be up and running on the channel, however there'll be maybe one or two, maybe even three different videos on the channel per week. I want to pretty much base my channel mostly on cricket over the summer, so if you're into cricket, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and if you're into AFL, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Today we're going to be taking a look at every AFL team's home Guernsey from 2011 versus 2021, seeing how many big changes there is in the Guernseys compared to each other. And yeah, we'll start off with Adelaide and with the Dogs, and we'll get straight into it. So the Adelaide one from 2011 compared to 2021 has very little changes on the Guernsey. Now we can see that obviously the number in 2011 has a white outline around it, which doesn't stand out at all. The 2021 one probably looks a little bit cleaner, but however we can see on the left and right side of the 2011 Guernsey how there is a blue that is cutting off the red and yellow stripes from going all the way across the Guernsey. So bit of a, little subtle design, but probably their one currently is a little bit better, I'd say, just because of the cleaner look. It looks a bit cleaner than it did back 10 years ago. We'll move on to Brisbane now. Brisbane has a pretty big change actually. So they have the top half Guernsey in blue, and then the bottom half Guernsey in maroon. And then the line which they used to have for their logo, I think, it's like in the middle of the jumper now. Obviously they have a very similar line that's in the middle of the jumper nowadays. However, it looks way cleaner and way better than it did back in 2011. The 2011 one just looks really just out of place, like how the line is placed on the head. Now that's obviously how the normal logo was designed, but putting it on a jumper certainly doesn't suit, definitely doesn't suit the Guernsey. And just everything about that line just is out of place. The jumper's out of place, and the head on the line just really doesn't look real enough. Compared to their 2021 one, their line looks realistic, a lot cleaner, and a lot more improvements for Brisbane back from 10 years ago. Now if we move on to Carlton, we see very subtle changes, however some pretty big changes in a way as well. We've got the new logo design. Now they've just made the logo look a bit more crisp, look a bit cleaner than they did 10 years ago. And their Guernsey 10 years ago had the logo on the Guernsey was up pretty high. Pretty high for nowadays. And their one this year is down towards around maybe the upper middle to middle part of the Guernsey. We see the collar has a much more space in the 2021 one compared to 2011. But yeah, little changes for Carlton. They still have a really plain basic Guernsey 10 years ago today. And I guess we'll move straight on to Collingwood. They have had very subtle changes as well. A lot of these home Guernseys have had pretty subtle changes. Seems like they don't really want to ruin their heritage and culture in their club. But yeah, the Collingwood one, I actually don't mind the Collingwood 2011 one. It looks pretty clean, especially with those little white little design things on the side, on left and right side of the jumper. It just adds a little bit of design to just the plain black and white Guernsey, which, don't get me wrong, their Guernsey 2021, it looks pretty clean, but it's just so basic and boring. So even adding those little details that they did back in 2011 actually makes a pretty big difference. And the number font, I'm pretty sure, is the same. However, at the back top of the Guernsey, they don't have the white, the black and white stripes continuing for 2021. We'll move on to Essendon. Once again, they have very subtle changes. However, their one in 2011 had a straight cross, no curve in it at all. And their one in 2021 has a curved red line, which looks cleaner, looks better. I reckon just instead of the straight stiff line through the middle of the Guernsey. Now obviously they've had a bit of a font change with their numbers as well. They've had a much bolder font for the 2021 season and a much smaller font for 2011, and their numbers are placed down a little bit more than they had 10 years ago. We'll move on to the Dockers, and once again just very subtle changes for the Freo Dockers. we have on the left, we have very bold V's for their Guernsey. But yeah, the Freo home Guernsey for 2011, just really stiff V's compared to the 2021 one. It's just a bit loose, very loose and very thin compared to the one 10 years ago. Moving back on to Geelong now, we have a very subtle change. We have the logo moving one part down in 2021. The stripes seem to be a little bit out of place compared to 10 years ago, but really nothing to judge the Geelong Guernsey. Probably the biggest thing is the fact that on the back of the Geelong Guernsey for 2021 is that little design that they have going over the towards the neck collar. I don't know, I've never actually seen that before, never noticed it for the Geelong Guernsey, but yeah, not much at all for the Geelong Guernsey compared to 10 years ago. Moving on to Gold Coast, one of the newer teams in the league, and there is actually a few different changes that we can see here. So they have the yellow lines on each side of the jumper. They've kept with that, which I really don't mind. It looks pretty cool for their jumper design. But they've had the new logo, but not very new. All they have done is just got rid of the sun in the background, because you can't really see the GC in the logo if you have the sun blaring onto it in the background. So I think they've made the right decision to make the logo look a lot cleaner than it did 10 years ago. And also, as we see, their collar on the front is much different 10 years ago. Moving on to GWS now, once again we have quite subtle changes in this one, but we've got a bit of a movement for the G in the jumper. The top half for both Guernseys are both in orange, and then the bottom half of both Guernseys are both in grey. Also, they weren't in the league in 2011, so I just got their soonest one that they had, which was 2012. The G on their 2012 jumper is on the left, and it's tucked up into the merge of the orange and grey colours. But in the 2021 one, looks cleaner. So a lot of these Guernseys that we've already gone through make them look a lot more cleaner than 10 years ago. But obviously, that's what they have to do. They just have to make the Guernseys look more outstanding, more appealing to the fans. Moving on to Hawthorn now, their 2011 one, I'm pretty sure I did some research on this, and that was for their 50 years of premierships. I'm pretty sure that's all they said. That's all the information I got for that one, for the 2011 one. That's why you can see some text on the brown stripes. Now, does it look good? Is it probably worth designing that Guernsey just for some premierships for a whole season? Probably not. But yeah, as we can see, they have a white background on their numbers on their back of their shirt, which I don't know if that definitely probably stands out a little bit more, but definitely a lot cleaner nowadays than it was 10 years ago. Now, moving on to the Ds, they have pretty much two changes. Actually, no, three changes. As we see in the 2011 one, you can see that the blue is a lot darker than it is nowadays, and I did not realise how they changed their tone of blue. We can also see on the top right of the V for Melbourne, we can see their old logo sitting there, which a lot of clubs do actually bring into play for their Guernseys. Doesn't look too bad on some Guernseys, actually don't mind it. We've changed the font, I'm pretty sure, of the Guernseys over 10 years, or maybe not changed the font, but definitely lowered the font down on the back of the jumper. Now, North Melbourne have not really anything too special, but there's one big thing, and that is basically the fact that they have transferred their home kit from white in the main Guernsey colour to now dark blue, and dark blue definitely looks a lot better, because nowadays a lot of Clash kits are in white, and it can get a bit confusing with some Guernseys and where like the game's being played with what Guernsey the teams will use. So definitely good with North changing their main colour to blue on their Guernseys. Definitely don't mind that. Now, there's one big, actually no, there's a few big changes in their 2021 compared to 10 years ago. Now, obviously the V in 2011 was much smaller, and it's much bolder nowadays, which makes it stand out. They've had the logo on their top right of their jumper since 2011, and now they've obviously transferred to their new logo for 2021. In 2011, they had white colour for their numbers at the back, and in 2021, you can see that little white outline in the jumper as well as the black colour. And in Richmond's, there's really nothing to go through. Like, what? You can't see many differences apart from maybe a tiny bit of a different shade of yellow, because same, probably different fonts, different collar, but that's pretty much all I can see for the Richmond Guernsey. St Kilda, not much has changed apart from the collar, and also for some reason they have at the top left of their jumper a black bit just stopping the red from going all the way up. And yeah, not much has changed. They've changed their font of the numbers and lowered it down to the jumper a little bit. I can't see much, however, the white on the left and right on the back of the Guernsey, that's pretty much similar to what Gold Coast have on back and front of theirs as well. And then they had, I'm pretty sure they had the Opera House lower a little bit 10 years ago. So compared to now, not much at all. Basically just the collar and a little bit pushing the Opera House up a little bit on the Guernsey. Now West Coast probably has the biggest improvement of the video. They used to have blue, royal blue, no, that's not even royal blue, that's navy blue, dark blue, white in the middle, which for a West Coast jumper, pretty bad idea, and then yellow on the right. Now, very creative jumper for back in the day, but they have touched that up a real good amount compared to 10 years ago today. I'll tell you what, their Guernsey nowadays is probably one of the best home Guernseys I have seen in a while for any AFL team. Probably up, I would say, in one of the best, out of any other AFL team currently. But yeah, definitely big improvements for West Coast. And also the Dogs have a pretty big improvement as well. They used to have one red stripe with two little white stripes on the top of it. And then they used to have their old logo with the Bulldog just sitting around the bottom of that red through the middle of the jump. But it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to be honest, it probably looks a little bit better to what they have currently, just because of how plain their kit is currently. But yeah, I guess there we have it. Obviously not too many improvements in some of the jumpers, but however, if you guys want me to do this with some Clash Guernseys, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I would be happy to do these with some Clash Guernseys, as they would probably have some bigger changes, because yeah, Clash Guernseys get changed pretty much more often than the home Guernseys do, for a few reasons. So if you guys enjoy and like this content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. As I said earlier in the video, some different type of content will be coming out throughout the rest of the week and for pretty much until the start of next AFL season. So there'll be a few AFL videos here and there, but I might even try and prioritise cricket content through the summer. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.